The Scorpion came out of nowhere, which is also an accurate way to describe the car in general, but we'll get there. It was teased, announced, and released all within 3 days, and is only available for 10 days. Sounds just like any other limited car from before, right? This is the second most expensive car to ever graze Jailbreak, which is even more insane because it's limited. Just those two factors alone are enough to set it apart from the immense roster of vehicles, but given those same two factors, it's gotta be something special. And oh boy, let me tell ya. Normally, I cover the appearance of a car before the stats, but in the case of the Scorpion, there's things that are just too important to put off. Let's start with quite possibly the craziest car stat we'll have for possibly ever. This is the new fastest car in the game. Move aside, Torpedo. Watch your step, Brule. The Scorpion has a top speed of 422! How does that... what? Well, this is insane by itself. The most expensive limited ever, the second most expensive vehicle of all time, and it's the fastest vehicle in the game. This is Jailbreak history, and I don't think this level of insanity in a vehicle will be broken anytime soon, if ever. Now, of course, speed isn't the only element that affects a car's performance, so how exactly does it work, and how does it measure up in other categories? Well, if anyone had any trouble understanding or noticing the overdrive feature in certain vehicles, this is the one it's most obvious in. After a relatively slow acceleration, especially for the price, at 140 miles per hour, the Scorpion, well, this thing goes from mediocre speeds to insanity like that. It gets so fast that you can't even hit the top speed on the trading drag strip, and if you cheat and use rocket fuel, you can get well above 500 miles per hour. Its reverse speed is solid too, and on a surface level, its other stats are of similar quality. This is editing pixel butting in because I forgot to mention that when you go above 140 miles per hour, the car, while speeding up, gets this weird screen shake effect. And I think it's cool because it really makes it feel like you're going above and beyond with your speed. However, it also can get a little annoying. It's not a major minus for me, but it's something that's noteworthy. All right, that's all I had to say. Back to old me. However, this car's biggest strength is also its biggest weakness. Because casually hitting 250 to 300 miles per hour isn't exactly viable, its turning ends up being unreliably wide, and it'll often go flying off of the smallest hills and bumps. Plus, getting these super intense speeds is somewhat hard to do regularly, especially when making tight turns through the cities and when off-roading. On top of that, the brakes are really slow, and it takes quite a while to stop. And while these things don't exactly make the car as much of a beast as you'd think, it's still a blast to drive. Even if it's incredibly sporadic, the sheer speed of this monster is so fun to zoom around the map with. Is it practical for escaping cops on long stretches of road? Absolutely. Is it useful for much else? And finally, is it fun to use? Blah, 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 looks are subjective, you get the idea, but I mean, look at this thing. Plasmazilla did a stellar job designing the car, and I, for one, absolutely love how it looks. Now, I don't know if it beats the Power 1 for me, but it's a really sleek design. I don't have too many details to point out, but what I do notice, I'll talk about. I love the spokes, I think that's what they're called. The carbon fiber is a neat touch as always, and the added feature of the rocket exhaust thingies slowly turning from a dim red to a fiery yellow as you speed up to then suddenly spit out intense glowing flames is awesome. That reminds me, this idea of a rocket car hybrid is really cool, but it's not original technically. This vehicle is actually based off of the Red Bull X 2010, a fictional car from the Gran Turismo game series that was designed to answer the question, if you built the fastest racing car on land, one that throws aside all rules and regulations, what would that car look like, how would it perform, and how would it feel to drive? Moving on to customization, this vehicle has a lot to work with. You get primary and secondary texture/color options for the inner and outer body, and the interior detail option changes the color of these lines on the sides. These options, while simple, grant a lot of freedom when creating customization loadouts. So, like I've said a million times before, looks are subjective, but the Scorpion's got plenty to look at and plenty more to like. In conclusion, the Scorpion is a historical landmark of Roblox Jailbreak. It surpasses all other vehicles in multiple categories and won't soon be forgotten. I'm excited to see how this car fares in trading, and even more excited to continue using it throughout the Jailbreak map. Thank you for watching.